Kay, this is the most excited that I've seen the guys in the last four hours of programming.
They're a little schmoopy.
A lot of smiles on their faces.
Look at that face on Paulie right now. Oh,
happiness galore. And it's all because we bring in the man, the host of the show, Dan Patrick. How are you, Dan?
Hi, kids. How's everything?
Dobra Utra.
Dan, I wasn't kidding. These guys are ecstatic to hear from you. Fritzy's been wearing a grin for the last, 7-8 minutes.
Well, he did remind me a couple of times to make sure I called in on time, make sure I had a good phone line. I mean, he was annoying. So hopefully the quality is good here from my balcony overlooking the Black Sea.
What's the scene out there like for you?
It's mixed, Chris, because I think, and we're looking at reports from around the world here in Russia. So from everywhere from France to Russia to Germany to England and their view of Russia. There's a lot of really positive things here, but nobody's going to care about that. And I'm not being a shield for NBC. I'm being honest with you of what I see. There's a lot of things that aren't finished, but there's a lot of remarkable things that are. I think the opening ceremonies are going to be great, spectacular. It's an Olympics, but there's always a couple of surprises. There's always a couple of disappointments, a couple of surprising stars, and I think you'll have the same thing here. It's just, there's that underlying friction current here of unrest, and it's evident. I get searched every single day. I go to work, where you get out of a car and they pat you down and. They're not speaking English. They're not smiling. So, it's a reminder of where you are and what you're doing. And, it's not the safest place, but I have my son here with me, so I'm not, that concerned. So it's a fascinating time. I'll put it that way.
Dan, we want to know where you watched the Super Bowl, Fritzy in particular. Where did you watch the Super Bowl? What was that experience like?
It was in the lobby of the Radisson Hotel here. And the flight attendants we had coming over were from Seattle, so they brought their 12th man flag, which was great. And I didn't watch the whole game. I didn't need to. But there was part of me that said, I hope the Broncos make it close only for Fritzy. That was it. I was worrying about Fritzy and his son watching, and here I am 4,000 miles away because I knew that there was a grown man and his son crying, holding onto each other, weeping in a corner. And part of me felt bad for that, but he wouldn't listen to me. I told him at the beginning of the year who was going to win the Super Bowl. He didn't listen. But now you know what I deal with every single day with those goofballs.
What was the beer situation during the game?
Actually, beer's pretty good. I don't know what it is. I just said keep coming, and they got a few things on tap. There's no Red Hook over here. I did ask if they had Audible Ale. They did not bring that in for me, but they got a couple of local brews here and Heineken on tap. So all the comforts of home.
Dan, Bob Costas battled through pink eye yesterday to do a report. Did he sew up the Sports Emmy with that performance right there?
The degree of difficulty, I mean, damn him. I don't know what I'm going to get. I was thinking of getting gout for tomorrow when I'm on, but right now I don't know what I'm going to be afflicted with, but it's got to top Bob's pink eye. And right now, he did it to me again.
What if you saved Al Michaels' life while simultaneously calling a highlight?
With gout.
Wow. What's interesting, though? We were curious what the Russians think of Al, because he, of course, called the Miracle on Ice against the Russians. So there are people who do, they're fascinated that he's the Miracle on Ice guy. So I call him Al Miracles. And so the Russians, there's a fascination with 1980 and tremendous pressure you feel on this Soviet hockey team, to try to win on home soil. But I've spent every night having dinner with Al Michaels, and as I did in London, a joy, a treat. What a national treasure.
Talking to the host of the show, Dan Patrick, live from Sochi, Russia. Dan, the prevailing storyline here for the last couple of days has been Shaun White pulling out of the slopestyle competition. Will you guys be talking to Shaun White on NBC over the next few days?
Yeah. Well, he's one of the stars here, and it didn't surprise us that he did. I think a lot of these guys looked at the course, and they were concerned about the course. I went up there 2 days ago. First of all, what they did up there is unbelievable. It's magical what they did. The way it looks, it's going to look spectacular on TV. But we're watching, people do tricks on it, and they were wiping out. So you got the feeling that this is a little bit different for these guys, and they're not afraid of anything. I think Sean wants to make sure I'm leaving Sochi in one piece, and if I only have one gold, that's okay. So I think he's probably erring to the side of caution. Is probably a wise thing.
There have been mixed reports about the condition of some of the courses. It was suggested that Shaun White pulled out of the slope style because it was too dangerous. What's the latest on the condition of the courses out there?
You know what? They were chopping up or chopping down, I should say. They were going down the mountain on some of the trails there, and so there was ice, and they were chopping it with shovels. So you had about 30 guys with shirts off, chopping up the snow to try to smooth it down, to pack it down. They do have plenty of snow up there, but trying to make it more of a softer condition. And I think that's probably the concern. As far as the speed goes, I marvel anyway when I see downhill, these guys, how fast they go down. But it looked like it was faster than it should or needed to be. But I'm a novice looking at this. I could only judge from their reaction. And you had a couple of guys, one guy from Canada in particular, just shaking his head when he got through. So I don't know what the conditions will be like, if they're going to get better or worse, but there was concern 2 days ago.
The boss, Dan Patrick, joining us here on The Dan Patrick Show, live from Sochi. A couple questions here for you. What sport do you know the least about that you are kind of worried to talk about? Because Mannix and I we're failing at the Olympic coverage here.
You know what it is? You end up knowing a whole lot, a little bit about a whole lot, and then sometimes you have to know a whole lot about a little bit, if that makes sense, Kate. So it's one of those where you're kind of you study for a final every single hour or every single night. I didn't study this way in college, let's put it that way, but I get a binder of information every single day, and you try to just absorb as much as you can. But I went to see figure skating last night just because I wanted to see Plushenko skate, and thank God I did. It's one of those moments where you go, okay, he's different than anybody else in the world. So do I know it all? No, but you absorb as much as you can, and there's nothing wrong with saying how come or why to the experts we have. That's why we bring them in. So you have people who played the sport, participated in the sport, and they're the ones that dispense the energy. But Fritzy was excited. He goes, "Oh man, the biathlon! I could only imagine." I said, "No, it's not what you're thinking, there, Fritzy." So, that's sort of what I dealt with before I got to Sochi. So I had to explain to Russ. Fritzy's going to be the kind of audience I have to explain biathlon to.
Which Danette would have the most difficult time adjusting to the conditions in Sochi?
McLovin.
I'm half
McLovin.
Russian, Dan.
The other half would just be half miserable. But it's let me see. Seton would adjust. Fritzy would. Paulie, be McLovin.
Got to be McLovin.
I think McLovin would have the hardest time. But I will say this about the Russians: you can tell that there is like a spirit about them that they don't want to be embarrassed here. And I have not seen Putin. He may have seen me. I don't know. There's cameras all over the place, crazy amounts of cameras. So he could be watching me right now, for all I know. But it's a fascinating place. And here you go, Fritzy. I buried the lead.
Dan,
I run into Maria Sharapova yesterday.
Really?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
There we go.
You say hi for me?
Oh my God, Fritzy, spectacular.
Really? I'm getting on the next plane out.
She is 6'2" and then had heels on to make her 6'4". She's from here, Sochi. So I talked to her and her agent probably for 30 minutes. It could have been nicer, but in person, spectacular, Fritzy. So I I actually thought of you. I thought of you twice. The Broncos getting blown out and Maria Sharapova. So there's good company.
Dan, you know the screen, the assistant producer thing you have in front of you most days on the show. On my screen, it has over and over and over again, what gifts are you bringing back for them? What gifts are you bringing back for them?
Well, you know, those restrictions are taking things out of Russia, guys. So, you know, I'm trying. I don't know if I'll be able to. I do have something, and I was told this today, that one of the things to treasure the most if you can get one, and I can't tell you what it is because I have to wait and see if I can get it. If I can get it out of the country, I'm told that it will be one of the, if not the best souvenir to get out of the Olympics.
You should see their faces right now, Dan.
Yeah, it's nothing to wear, I will say that, but it is. I was told this today, and I was shocked that this was a coveted item. So I will try to bring it back to adorn the man cave there.
So you're bringing Maria Sharapova back to the man cave of Milford? That's fantastic.
I'll see if I can get an autographed picture for you, Fritz, because she's working with us over the next 2 weeks. So I'm sure I'll see her again.
Well, Dan, stay warm out there, stay safe, and we'll try to keep the chair warm for you when you get back.
See, you okay?
Yeah, all good, dude.
Okay, all right. Ollie?
Yeah, we're driving your truck and hitting your golf clubs and drinking your beer. Everything's great.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm going to be in a little bit of trouble when you get back because we did just get a whole new thing of golf clubs, and I've been using them. And so there's a new driver in there. And so that's sort of my bad.
Okay, this is something you guys don't know.
Uh-oh.
I could watch the show from the NBC headquarters. Just to let you know, at the International Broadcast Center,
Boy.
I have been watching. So, and taking notes, by the way.
And there's the St. Petersburg affiliate, right?
Yeah. I listen. They have a morning show that I listen to.
Yeah.
Sports.
Yeah, Jimmy and the Sickle. I listen to that, but I can watch the show just to let you know. The great people at PR here made sure that I was hooked up so I could watch my show every morning. So keep that in mind.
I will enjoy yourself, Dan.
Hey, I want to thank you guys for filling in too. The reaction has been great. And I'm being sincere when I say that. Thank you for doing it. And Danettes, love you, and talk to you soon.
All right, Dan. That's
Bye.
Dan Patrick, the host of the show. He's watching the show from
Big
Sochi.
brother.
The nervous looks that popped on the face of these guys behind the glass when Dan said he's sitting in the press center watching the show was priceless.